right, here's something so funny. All right, I've done a bunch of these 92nd Street Y talks, and never, ever, ever has it been like this today for Rod Stewart.
Hoda, the guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna break house rules. Take as many pictures as you want.
Okay. First of all, can we start off by saying how good Rod Stewart looks? No. And I just want to point out one other thing. I was listening to Howard Stern today and Jimmy Fallon last night, and the other thing is how good Rod Stewart sounds.
Oh.
You really do. I mean, first of all, the fact that your voice is as powerful and beautiful, at what time were you on Howard? Was it?
Well, I started warming the voice up around 7 in the morning.
Okay.
I think the show started. The most important thing is to warm the voice up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like being an athlete. You can't, you know, when you get older, you can't get up in the morning and start running. And the voice is just two muscles that bang together. So they've got to be flexible, warmed up. And,
how do you do that? What's your warm-up routine?
You don't want to know.
Come on, give me a little,
man.
a little.
I have to go, ooh,
Just like that?
Yeah.
Okay, we've been waiting for new music, you guys, haven't we? Been waiting a long time for some new music. All right, another country. You wrote these, right, Rod?
10 of the 12.
Okay, so what inspired you? It always comes from somewhere.
Well, the last album I did, Time, which did pretty well here and did remarkably well in Europe. There was a fan sent me a book, you may know about this, some of you, of all the different little emails and texts that were collected, thanking the fan club leader, whatever, for the album. And so they sent me a copy of it, and it was so heartwarming that I'd managed to reach so many people, and it really got to my fans. And I have to say, and I say this, hold on, from all honesty, that I made this album for the fans, and I really, really mean that.
Now, when we heard everything about you and all the records you've broken and all those kind of things, when you come out with a new record, Rod, do you think to yourself, oh my gosh, this one, I hope it does as well as the one before, I hope it does as well as this, or do you just put it out and say, come what may?
Well, there's a bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit of both. It's a difficult market out there now. Obviously, yeah. I'm not a youngster anymore, so there's certain areas where I'm not going to get played, and I accept that because I've had a great career and a good go at it. But, you know, as I said, I make albums I love, and if my fans love it, then I'm happy.
You know, in meeting you,
She spanked my bum earlier on.
I did.
She did.
I did.
She spanked my bottom.
You know what's funny about Rod? When you meet Rod and you guys, when we're looking at him face to face, you can picture him as a little boy. Like I can picture it so clearly when you talked about growing up in Northern England. I can see a young Rod Stewart. Music must have been playing in your house. Did your mom sing or your dad or where did it come from?
Everybody sang, really. We had big parties around the Stewart household at Christmas, really big parties. And they were so big that my dad used to have to go and get timbers in the cellar to shore up the living room. Because everybody would be dancing, you know, like that. And he was always worried about the ceiling and the floor caving in. So I was surrounded by music, and Al Jolson was the first guy I ever listened to, or was made listen to.
So when you were young, when you were a little boy, could you sing? Did you know you could sing at 5, at 7, at 10?
No,
No?
not at all. No,
you were just playing,
My big brother, who's 84, and he's wonderful, Don, he thinks still thinks he's the talent
singer
in the family. Yeah. Bless him.
Did you say to your parents at some point, you know, Mom and Dad, I love singing, and your dad owned a little shop, right?
Yeah,
Is that what he did for a living?
Yeah.
You didn't have a big life in terms of a big home or anything like that.
big in love.
Yeah.
Lots of love. No, we didn't. I wouldn't say we were poor, but life was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
And the way I got into the music, for no apparent reason, is my dad bought me a guitar.
Huh.
This is an old story, I'm sure you all know this, but I wanted a couple of engines for me model railroad layout.
Yeah.
And he come home with a guitar, and I said, what the fuck's that? Well, no, I didn't, I was only little. I didn't swear. I take that back. My dad will turn up there, sorry, Dad. So he bought me a guitar.
Yeah. And did you know when you started playing the guitar that this was something you were in love with?
Not at all. I think it lay dormant for quite a while before I picked it up. And then skiffle music happened in Britain.
What's that?
It was like American folk music. We had this guy called Lonnie Donegan who had a big hit with an American folk song called Rock I'm the Line. And then my bigger brother, my Don, he took me to see Bill Haley and the Comets. And that's when it all fell in place.
I was reading a little bit about your dad, and he said everyone should have 3 things.
Five.
He said 5 things?
5, yeah.
Okay, I read a job,
Yep.
a hobby,
Sport.
and a sport. What were the other 2?
A good companion.
A good companion.
Good lawyer. And a good... And he was either a good accountant or a good doctor. And he said, if you haven't got one of those, the house collapses.
All right, so you need them all. So you love to play. You call it football. We call it soccer. That was your other love when you were younger, right?
Yeah. I was brought up in a house full of soccer. You know, my brothers played, my uncles played, my granddad played. My mum used to wash the shirts. It's 11 players on a team. And she used to have to wash them for a penny a go. What was that? It'd be about half a cent.
Did you think about soccer as being a profession? Was that something that you considered ever when you were younger?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's all I wanted to do until music came along. But my other 2 brothers were really good too. They weren't as good as me. But I wanted to do it for my dad because I think he thought, 3 sons, one of them should be a pro footballer, soccer player. But I fell in love with music about the same time as I was going into soccer.
So you chose.
Can't call it soccer. It's
call
football.
it football. Call it football.
Cheers, everyone! Hey!
So you ended up going into music, and did you? I was reading that you had a couple of jobs before you got in the music business, and I think I read something where you were a grave digger.
Yeah,
what was that about?
That is not, it's a half-truth.
Okay.
I worked in a cemetery and all I did was mark out the graves. It's something that the press ran with.
Okay, all right.
And I straightened that all out in my book.
Okay, what about a wallpaper hanger? Is that not true?
No, that's not true.
Who said that?
No. What I used to do, I was a silk screen printer.
Okay.
So you have to pull the big screen down. This is really fucking boring. And, in a nutshell, I made wallpaper.
Are you colorblind?
Yeah, I'm colorblind.
You're colorblind and you're that fashion forward? Like who picks out your outfit?
There was no way forward in that business for me. No.
Okay, you're colorblind. So how do you pick out the clothes, the outfits, all the stuff that you wear?
Well, I'm not, I can tell the difference between yellow and green, that dress you've got on there. But usually I have to check with my dear wife, Penny. I say, darling, is this all right?
Is this okay?
Because I get my purples and mauves and blues all mixed up.
Okay.
So I check.
You sang a bunch with a bunch of different groups, but the Faces was one that was. Describe what that was like. I know a lot of your fans know, but a lot don't. Describe what that experience was like for you, Rod.
It was, can't remember it. No, it was amazing. I mean, to be in a band that was not only, we loved each other, it was a band of brothers.
Yeah.
It really was. We all seemed to have the same humor, same haircuts, and wore the same clothes. And we just recently had a reunion in London.
Wow.
There's only 3 of us left now. 2 of them have gone upstairs. But it was magnificent, it really was. And what we're trying to do is, Woody and I spoke the other day, is just to try and find a window of opportunity so that we can do this Faces tour. Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. You got the faith right here. It was fun looking at some old video of those concerts because fans, like guys here, would end up on stage with you guys. It was very interactive during the concerts, after the concerts. I mean, you don't see anything like that kind of thing anymore.
Oh, yeah, Vegas. When I do Vegas, and people come up.
People come up?
Yeah, yeah.
They party with you?
They party with me, and every night I finish the officials at Vegas, and goes, don't do that again.
They don't like that?
No, they don't like that. And
Why?
it's when I try and... how many of you have been to Vegas? Loads of you have. So, I kick the soccer balls out, and I try and get them up on the second balcony, which is well up there.
Have you hit it yet?
And they tell me, don't do that again. No.
Is that the last
But
one?
I keep on doing it.
Well, when you look at the writing process back when you were with Faces, and like they were talking about the song "Stay With Me," and how that writing process came together before you guys got on stage, and a lot of times it was just happening just right in the back, right in the dressing rooms.
Yeah, it was. It was like it is now. It's spontaneous.
Yeah.
That's the way music should be, spontaneous. But with the Faces, we did like a drink. That's for sure.
Yes, you did.
We really did.
And you did like there were some hotel room stories.
Yes.
Some famous ones,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the reason we did this, I know it seems juvenile now when you look back on it, but we got treated so badly in the Holiday Inns, especially the Holiday Inns. They hated us. They really did. The room service would take 2 hours. You've just done a show, you get to bed, can I have some room service? It'll come at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So we decided to get our own back and smash the fucking place up. So, do you know, and I know this is in the book, we got such a bad name, we checked in as Fleetwood Mac. We did. Fleetwood Mac were unknown, like we were unknown. So it was great.
Well, when Maggie May happened, when that song happened, it seems like your whole world changed. That was not the A side of the record, Rod, Maggie May. That was the B side.
Yeah.
And how did it get played? How did that?
Well, first of all, it nearly didn't make the album. Every Picture Tells a Story, because the record company said, nah, it's got no melody. Because we had 8 tracks, and they said, you got any more? I said, I've got this one called Maggie May. They said, no, don't like it. It hasn't got that little hook, what they used to call the payday.
Yeah.
They said, well, we'll chuck it on the album anyway. I thought, thanks. And it was reason to believe the wonderful Tim Harding song was the A-side, and it was a disc jockey in Cleveland who turned it over, and
you're kidding.
And I wouldn't be sitting here tonight if it wasn't for him.
Wow. So. Did that really change everything, that song, for you?
Oh, you bet your life it did. Yeah.
Did your parents, when they heard about this kind of change in your career, was this like a marked moment for your mom and dad?
Oh yeah. I remember the night I was driving along in Hampstead. And I was doing pretty well because I was always earning a good living. I was driving a really old Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
And when it came on the radio, it said Rod Stewart, #1 Maggie May in Great Britain. I turned the car around, drove up to Muswell Hill where my mum and dad lived, stormed in, and just given the biggest hug.
What did they say?
Yeah. They were really sorry. Oh. My dad was always 100% behind me. When everybody else had given up on me, my dad said, keep going, son, keep going. You'll be all right, you'll make it. Because in those days, to be in music, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
You didn't have a career, you can't go into music. What else are you going to do if you fail? Which is a pretty good point, actually, because I couldn't do anything else.
Were you worried? Were you ever worried that you weren't going to make it in the business?
No, not at all.
Really? Even when you had the low points?
Yeah, the low point. Someone asked me that the other day, the difference, I might be speaking out of tune here, out of tone, but the difference when we all were coming through in the 60s and the early 70s, we did it because we loved the music and it was burning inside of us. We didn't do it because we wanted to get rich. We didn't do it certainly because we wanted to be famous. Unlike now, I think.
Yeah, now it's more of that.
Yeah, get yourself in the newspapers and,
Were you always comfortable on stage from the beginning?
No, I think that's a craft you learn with time.
Mm-hmm. How scared were you at one point? Like, how?
Were you talking about the Jeff Beck thing at the Fillmore?
Yeah.
Oh man, see, I came over to America for the first time. I think it was like '68 with or '67 with the Jeff Beck Group, And my idea of New York was lots of great black singers, which there probably were and still are. And I thought we were playing with the Grateful Dead, and I thought they were top of the bill, and I thought I can't go out there. It's all going to be black faces, and they're all going to look at me, and because I always wanted to sound like Otis and Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at me and think, oh yeah, you're a pretender. You're not really one of us. So I walked out and hid behind the amps, you know, had a little drink, and we started playing. Jeff brought in Ain't Superstitious, and Woody said, come out, have a look. So I came out from there, and there was all like white hippies sitting there, you know.
So you weren't scared anymore?
Weren't scared anymore, no.
Is there any feeling, Rod, for you in the world, like being on stage and having the crowd react to you, and you can see it feeding back and forth? Is it better than anything?
There's no drug like it. There's nothing like it in the world. It really is. Yeah.
Is that where you're the most at home, do you think, on stage?
Yeah, I suppose because it defines who I am. You know, I mean, look at me. I couldn't have been anything else but a rock singer with this. And, you know. So it defines who I am. So when I'm out there, this is me. This is my audience. This is what the good Lord put me here to do. And I firmly believe that. The Lord gave me this voice.
Thank God. Thank God. And that hair, you have some awesome hair. What is going on in there? What is happening in there? What do we do?
It's all mine. Have a go on it.
Go on.
It's all mine.
It just does what it wants to do.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's had a busy day today. I've done so many TV shows, so I keep putting product in it, you know. But it needs a wash now.
How does it feel? Like going out and promoting a new album now? I mean, because you were just with Matt Lauer. This is going to be on the Today Show coming up. You're here. You're going to be in a bunch of places. What does it feel like doing it at this stage?
It's always been nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm comfortable in front of my audience on the stage, but when I'm doing something like this, I'm not really as comfortable as I look. Trust me.
Really?
You know, I'm not. It's a slog, but it's worth it. You know, I have a great job.
You do.
Don't we have great jobs?
We have great jobs, but
So
yours is
lucky.
better than everybody else's job.
I'll
You
drink
have
to that.
the best
Well
job
done.
in the world. When Maggie May hit and you were going off on your own, you're used to having your band, your posse, your guys with you. Were you nervous about staying in Hollywood while all the guys were somewhere else? Were you worried about being alone?
No, not at all.
No?
No, I had a pretty good-looking bird with me called Breck.
Yeah, she wasn't so bad.
So I
was she?
wasn't too lonely.
Right. How did you meet her? How did you meet her?
I went to the Forum to see maybe the Bee Gees or something like that. And,
Yeah.
may not have been the Bee Gees, and she was with a couple of. She was with Joan and the late Jackie Collins.
Oh, wow.
I believe, and we were introduced.
And was it right away? Did you say, I've got to take this girl
it was
out?
hot chemistry straight away.
Okay.
Well, man, you know, the lad from London going out with a Bond girl. Blimey.
What was that?
I'd arrived.
What was that like? Because you were catapulted right into the middle of the heart of Hollywood.
Yeah.
The two of you, you're a rock star, she's a Bond girl. You guys must have taken over.
We did, but it was. So she doesn't have too many good words to say for me, unfortunately.
Really?
Oh no, heart of steel she got. But I think she was a wonderful girl. She taught me so much about art and culture. So well done, Britt. Thank you very much.
And well, then you met and married Alana Hamilton.
Yeah.
Two beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Who had a reality show a while ago. They were on the show with us.
Were they?
Yeah.
Did they behave?
Kimberly and Sean, they did behave. They were great. Were you ready for fatherhood at that stage in your life, do you think, Ron?
Wow, that's a good question. Was I ready for fatherhood? Yeah, I suppose I would. What was I, 30-something?
Yeah, 79.
I wasn't ready then. I was never going to be ready.
Right.
The only thing was, you know, at that time I was stone broke.
Really?
I had a bit of a crooked manager who did me out of a few shillings. And so I had to be on the road for a long time. So therefore I missed a great deal of their growing up because I was carving a career for myself.
Sure.
And trying to get myself out of debt. And they were a little peeved about it, but we've sorted it all out since. They understand.
And was that was around the time where Do You Think I'm Sexy came out, right?
Yeah, a little bit later.
A little bit later.
79, 80, yeah.
Was that song about you?
No!
Was the song about Rod Stewart? I mean, come on. Who's it about?
It's, if you listen to it, I'm talking in the third person. I'm talking about two couples. But I suppose that the title of the song, Do You Think I'm Sexy? I really left myself open.
You sure did.
Ridicule.
At what point did your parents think to themselves, oh my gosh, we have a rock star son? Did they think it at Maggie May, or did it happen later? When did they know?
They were always sort of blasé about it.
They were?
Really. No, not blasé. I don't think that's the word. They were always down to earth, you know. And when I'd go around and see them, which was often, you know, hello, Roddy, how you doing? You know, funny was my mum was passing her way out. She'd not been well for a while. I'd left the Faces about 15 years before, and every time I went round there, she says, how's Ronnie? How's the Faces?
She kept asking the same.
A little bit of dementia had set in.
Did they ever go to your concerts?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, and they always, I mean, Mum and Dad always cried when I did Sailing, you know.
Oh.
Sailing wasn't a big hit here, but it was massive in England. You know.
Were you different on stage when you knew they were in the audience, or did you always kind of do your thing?
No, I'd cut back on the swearing a bit.
You did?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Why?
My dad never swore, he didn't drink, so I had to be very careful. Yes, I'll get clumped around here, you know.
That must have been, I was thinking, because the way you speak about your dad, I can't imagine what September 1990 must have been like, and that was when your dad passed away.
Yeah.
How did you learn that news?
It was most odd because it was about the same time as I met my second wife, Rachel Hunter. So it was mixed emotions. I'd met this wonderful girl, and my dad had died. The thistle, the tartan Scottish person in my life, you know. So it was. I sort of mourned him probably about 10 months later. You know.
Was it a phone call? Were you in the States when they were?
Yeah. And I just met Rachel
at the time.
So it was like being torn both ways.
Yeah. When, I lost my dad, and you remember vividly learning about it, hearing about it, what you were feeling, and things that you regret and things. What did you lose that day, the day your dad passed?
I think the Scottish connection, you know, because he was a true Scot. And I miss that lovely football connection. I know it sounds, you know, shallow, but my dad and I were so close about football, very much so. And I am with all my kids, all my boys. Football is the one thing we talk about a lot. And he was a good dad. He was a quiet man, hardworking.
Right. Was there a girl that he liked the most of the women who you had relationships with? Just wondering, who was his favorite?
Well, he never met Penny, obviously. He never met Rachel.
Sure.
I can't answer that question.
You can't answer that. Fair enough. So you did meet Rachel. She was a Sports Illustrated model.
Yes, she was.
How did you meet her?
A nightclub in Los Angeles. It was funny, in the afternoon, my personal assistant said, "Yeah, have a look at this bird on the television." And it was her doing a Sports Illustrated ad. She's losing weight.
What's this? Oh, wait. Okay.
Funny, that night, we bumped into each other.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that same night.
And what do you say to a girl? Do you walk right up and... What do you say when you meet a girl?
I'll say, "Hello, darling, what you got in that basket?" So it doesn't mean anything, I know, but it's worked for years.
Every single time.
She didn't even have a basket, but it always...
So she was obviously smitten with you.
No, she gave me the total cold shoulder.
What?
Yeah.
She did?
Yeah, I mean, I was, "Hello, darling, what you got in that basket?" She went, "The fuck's he doing?"
So you pursued.
Yeah.
Did it take much pursuing, or was she...
Yes, it did.
It did?
Well, no, that night she came back to my house in Beverly Hills. No. No. And nothing happened. It was wonderful and wonderful
Okay.
for a few weeks. It was
Wow.
great.
Okay.
Really lovely.
What was it?
I like the chase.
You do like the chase.
Always loved the chase.
Yeah.
I like being turned down and it just makes it more interesting.
It does.
Mind you, this is a long time ago. I've been married to a wonderful lady for 15 years.
Yes, you have.
15?
Has it been?
No, we've known each other for 15 years.
Okay.
10 years nearly.
So you and Rachel, 10 years, 10, 15. I saw a video, it was a very emotional video of you singing, Have I Told You Lately That I Love You?
Yeah.
And it was for her
Yeah, I
at
suppose
that
it was,
point.
Yeah.
And she was interviewed after it, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I was so touched at how emotional he got." What was your love connection like? Because look, you've had great, wonderful relationships. It sounds like, but hers seemed unique and different when I was reading about it.
I don't know. That's a difficult question to ask. I know she was beautiful, and she was very, very young. I mean, should have known better, really. But,
Really?
it was lovely. Love is unique, you know. That's the way it is. I can't really answer that question.
One of the things I admire about you, I have to say, a lot of people, when they have a broken relationship for whatever reason, they get harder and they get a thicker shell. You seem to always be open to love, and you give your heart away. I mean, it sounds like this is the first girl ever who had broken up with you. Usually you were the one leaving.
Yeah, it was the only time it's happened. That was called karma.
That was called karma. Why did it end? Do you know?
Simple, because even my sister, when we were walking up the aisle, she said, "You know he's going to break Roddy's heart, don't you?" To my brother. And she did, because she was just too young. And I should have known better. You know, I should have known better. She hadn't, as I say in the song Love Is, she hadn't spread her wings. She hadn't done things. So she was living in the shadow of a big rock star and hadn't become her own person.
Who she was.
Whereas when I met Penny, she was her own person. You know,
Yeah.
she was 20, 27, 28 when I met her, as opposed to... Whoa! Well, hold on. Rachel was like 20, 21 when I met her. Is that the end of the show now? Can I go? I'm dying.
Your
up here. I'm
therapy
sweating
session.
under my arms.
Your therapy session is not over yet. So you had 2 children with Rachel.
2 with
is that right?
Alana.
2
And then, of course, there was one way back.
from before. How many in total? Let's just round it out.
There's 8.
8. Okay.
Ooh, so
You know what, though? This is another great thing about you, Rod. You have a lot of great things, but you remain close when there's a breakup. It's not as if there's no talking. I mean, I'm watching interviews long after your breakup with the women who you've been with, and they talk about you lovingly. They want good things for you. I mean, it really does. Most of them, they seem to end okay.
Yeah.
They end well, right?
Yeah, it's when there's children involved,
Yeah.
that's obviously the only way you should be. There's always an acrimonious point where it actually breaks up and money comes into it and it gets all... If you can get through all that, then, which we all have done.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they all came over and cooked me Christmas dinner once.
What do you mean they all?
Yeah.
Together?
They're all together, yeah. three of them.
They did?
Yeah.
What was that
I
like?
don't know how it happened. It was like a bit of an accident and... You know, but the next
Do they all
question,
get along? Next question. All
come on.
right. Oh, let's talk about Penny.
Ah.
Let's talk about Penny. You get all warm and fuzzy. How did you meet Penny?
I'd just broken up with Rachel. No, literally, we'd just broken up a week before.
Yeah.
And I know it's extraordinary, but we were in the Dorchester Hotel, and I went downstairs for a drink. I'd just done a show at Earl's Court. And then there was Penny, dancing. She looked fabulous, and one of her friends teased her and said, "Oh, I'm such a Rod Stewart fan. Would you go over and ask for his autograph?" And Penny went, "Oh, okay." And she came over and asked for my autograph, and
that was that?
That was that,
What did
yeah.
you say? What's in the
I
basket?
said, "Hello, darling, what's you..."
I like your line.
But funny enough, I said, I'm going through a divorce. She didn't know about. But she said, I'm a photographer. And I said, well, come and take some pictures. I'm at Earl's Court. But we have to, I do believe in keeping the side of the street clean while you're going through a divorce and a breakup. So I won't be able to see you, but, take some pictures and send them to me. And, and my bass player, I said, give your number to my bass player. And so she did. And I didn't see her for 6 months because the bass player said, Rod, not yet. That's amazing. He wouldn't give me her phone number until he thought I was ready in the mind and in heart to see somebody else.
Okay. And how many children do you have with her?
By then?
Yeah.
With 2 with Penny. Yeah.
2 with Penny.
2 with Penny.
And how old
are they? I'll go in 2s. apart from Ruby.
Okay.
And her mother is beautiful, Kelly Emberg. She is just beautiful and still is beautiful.
Wow. How old are the two kids that you have with Penny?
The 2 little ones?
Yeah, the little ones.
4 and 9.
4 and 9.
Yeah.
How is fatherhood?
And the oldest is 57. Oh dear.
Don't you?
Me and my penis. Me and my winkle.
Your winkle?
My winkle.
Oh my God. So how?
Oh.
How is fatherhood different with the children that you have now, the 4-year-old, the young ones? How are you different as a dad?
Oh, it's
night and day, I bet.
Yeah,
right?
night and day. For instance, as I said earlier, the old days I used to just go on tour.
Yeah.
I had to earn money. Now I do the tours in the kids' school holidays so that they can more or less be with me if they want to.
Wow.
The 2 younger ones. So there's a big difference,
Okay.
But with 8 kids, you've got to be 8 different fathers, really, because they're all so different in age.
How many of them sing?
Ruby's probably the only one that's tried to sing. Obviously the other 2 little ones are too young.
Yeah.
But they've all got great careers. Liam, my son, he's a handsome bugger he is. Yeah, he's playing hockey.
Is he?
Ruby's a great singer. Kimberly is loving motherhood, so I've got 1 granddaughter. Sean wants to open a bar somewhere.
Right.
Somewhere, bless him. And Renee is studying classical and jazz dance in London.
Oh, wow.
So they're all scattered around.
Wow. Would you encourage your young ones, if they were interested in music, would you say this is a great career, I think you should do it, or would you just...
Oh, yeah, of course I would, yeah. I would also advise that it's going to be tough nowadays. It's really going to be tough.
Why do you think it's a lot tougher now?
Everybody wants to be in a band or be a singer. When we all started in the 60s, as I said earlier, it was somewhat of a novelty.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's
fame.
Every other day is a band and thousands of bands coming out. There's too much stuff.
And you do think that people just want to be famous. I think every now and then, and we know just on our show, when someone loves the music, you know right when they arrive. And when someone is there for the show, you know them, you know them too.
Yeah.
All right, I know the audience has a lot of questions. Do we?
Yeah, steady.
I think we have some over here. Let's take some of these. Oh God.
Oh,
no,
you
these
guys.
are all going to be no boxers or briefs. Sorry, I just read the questions as they come in.
Usually, yeah, right. Not with my tummy. Briefs.
Briefs.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, Barb from Facebook. What is the era of your career that makes you cringe the most?
Oh. Probably when I released Tonight's the Night, when I was going out with Britt Eklund, she made me wear lots of makeup and...
What? Why? She wanted you to...
Well, it was also very trendy at that point to wear makeup. It never suited me. It always made my nose look bigger.
Which period makes you the most proud, the proudest?
Right now. Yeah, right now.
What is it? Why? Tell me.
Well... I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, your career should be on the wane now. But at my age, and the last 2 albums have been so successful, and I've got more energy now than I've ever had in my life.
It's amazing. What do you do? What are you eating? Like, what's your normal? Do you exercise? What's happening?
Yeah, I do. I've had a great trainer, Gary, for 15 years, and not every day I want to do it. I do a lot of cycling, a lot of rowing, and a lot of swimming. I can't run too much now because it's
your knees. What do you eat? Are you on some kind of a special thing?
Not really. I try not to eat too much bread and too much sugar.
Okay.
I still like a drink.
Of course you do. Of course you do. All right. Is there someone, dead or alive, you would like to sing with?
Sam Cooke.
Yes. Without even blinking, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right. What singer-entertainer influenced you the most growing up?
I would say all the great black artists of the day, from Muddy Waters to John Lee Hooker, Sam Cooke to Otis Redding, David Ruffin of the Temptations.
Oh, David Ruffin, wow.
And actually, David was a friend of mine.
Was he?
And there's a great, he was a singer of the Temptations.
Yeah, of course.
And there's a great picture I've got at home where we're both looking into each other's throats, trying to work out why his black voice, was better than my white voice. It's great. We're really close to each other. I'm looking down his throat. He was the greatest.
Just before we came on, you got a text or an email from Elton John talking about, this is so cool. He was just talking about just watching you on Fallon. He was making jokes about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of artists must look at you and think, where does all this energy, this juice, that voice, the fact that it's still there and preserving, where's it coming from? But he had a lot of fun with you, didn't he?
Yeah, he does. There was a long period where we didn't communicate with each other, and that's just the reverse now. We were emailing each other each day. He's a great guy. I love him. The most generous man I know on this earth.
Right.
He really is. Do you know the story about one Christmas?
Tell me.
When we were both living in London in the 70s, right? And I came over to his place, and I bought him an ice bucket. But it wasn't just an ice bucket. Pressed a button, and the tray came out with your champagne and your glasses.
Okay.
I paid 300 quid for it. And I thought, that's a lot of money, 300 quid. Do you know what he came round my house with?
What?
A Rembrandt. A Rembrandt. And he's never forgiven me. He's the most generous guy.
Let's talk a little bit more about Another Country, your new CD.
Yeah.
Tell me what inspired you to write this, and tell me about some of the songs.
Well, as I said, that wonderful book I got from all the fans really encouraged me to do it again. And also the success, which gives you confidence. Mm-hmm. So once you got the confidence, you think, well, if it had gone down the toilet, I probably wouldn't have written another song. Mm-hmm. But it did do very well, and the fans loved it, and that gave me the confidence to go on and do it. But it's a personal album. I mean, there's a song on there about putting my son to bed. He's only 4. There's a song on there about, stories I heard from my brothers and sisters about growing up in London after the war. I can't remember it. I mean, I was just born after the war. It's just a real personal album. I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it. There's a song on there about all the drinking I used to do.
Oh,
called
really?
The Drinking Song.
The Drinking Song.
Yeah. Like that one.
Awesome. Okay. Here's something from Doris Noel. Who is your favorite female vocalist?
Oh, from the past?
Either.
Oh, Tina Turner's got to be my all-time favorite. And I got to tell you, Adele. Tremendous, yeah.
She's got, her new song. Do you like that new one, Hello?
I haven't heard it yet, but I bet it's good. She's fabulous.
She is amazing. Okay, let's see. What was it like touring with Stevie Nicks? Saw the show and is awesome. That's from Andrew.
She's a complicated girl. Mm-hmm. She really is. No, I mean that in the nicest possible way. She's very complicated, and yet a nervous, frightened individual about being out there, And I used to tell her after the shows, it's quite extraordinary. Can I get up?
Yep.
She does this thing, she'll stand at the mic and she'll be singing. She don't move very much, but she'll do this. fucking house breaks up. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. They love her, you know. And she is one of the few acts, you know. She went on before me. When she went on, place was full, absolutely full.
Wow.
So she's an absolute genius. I love her dearly.
Awesome. Okay. What is your favorite song to sing in concert?
All of them. All of them, mate. They're all, as I say, they're all my kids.
Yeah.
I gave birth to them and, you know, put them out in the world and see how they get on, so they're all my favourites.
From Phil Wood via Facebook.
No, Phil.
Phil wants to know, who was Maggie May?
Oh, no. It was my
Yes.
first ever shag. My first ever shag. You know what that means, don't you?
I do.
It's not it's not a carpet, you know.
It's not a carpet. So does she know? Has she?
No. She doesn't know. No.
She doesn't know?
It was the Bewley Jazz Festival. We used to have jazz festivals. There was no rock and roll.
Okay.
It was all jazz. And she was a slightly overweight woman, I would say, in her mid-30s.
In her mid-30s? How
Yeah.
old were you?
Very, very little and humble. And I would say...
Were you a teenager?
17. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. She took me in her tent. And I made a nasty mess, and it was all over in 3 seconds. Oh, God.
Okay, of all your hit songs, which one was the most surprising? P.S. I love you, Rod. So which was the most surprising, the one that surprised you the most?
Oh, obviously it would have been Maggie May, because you know, nobody really liked it. It was thrown on the album, and so when
Did you like it though, even though they didn't? Was it?
I loved it because it was a story. I've always tried to write. My songs have always had a beginning and a middle and an end.
Yeah.
So it was a story, and I always had faith in it. But
Okay, we got a couple
funny
more.
old business.
It really
Can't
is.
trust record companies.
Annie Martineau says, besides fights about footballs, what's the craziest thing you've seen happen in the audience from the stage? Uh-oh. Oh, God.
Well, no, the football thing is quite frightening.
Yeah.
It really is. And I do ask people to try and be careful,
Yeah.
but they love those footballs coming out. They love
Right.
them
Yes.
so much, you know.
And they're all signed,
No,
yeah.
I can't think of anything else, really. There's a lot of that used to go on, you know. Not so much anymore.
Okay. Rod, you've been quoted as saying you have, quote, the greatest fan club on the planet.
Yeah, indeed.
How important, Joanne wants to know, how important are your fans to you?
Well, I think I've made that fairly obvious, you know, because they wrote to me. I responded with this second album. That's how much they mean to me. And I tell you, Peter, listen, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This album was made with you in mind. It really was.
Beautiful. Do you get inspiration for writing in the shower, on the toilet? Who is out there on the mountaintops? They want to know. They want to know where you get some inspiration. Where does it come to you?
It's all around me, you know. For instance, there's a reggae song on the new album called "Love and Be Loved," and that was one of the lines. The girl, Pistorius, he murdered his girlfriend, but they shot her in South Africa.
Pistorius, yeah.
And they had a telephone conversation she was having with her mum, I think. And she said, "All I want to do is be loved, love and be loved."
Love and be loved.
Oh God, that's a song. So it's titles. I write them down. When I hear somebody say something, I'll write it down. So that's how the songs are born.
Will there be another CD after this one, do you think, Rod?
Oh yeah, I think if this one does, people.
Come on. We want to point out, you guys, that the new CD, Another Country, happens to be available for sale right in the lobby. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great night this has been. Can we hear it for Rod Stewart?
Thanks,
I'm
guys.
going to give you a hug.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Was it okay?